welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. So today I wanted to do a spiritual / law of attraction Q&A. I love doing these because I love answering your questions, because obviously I want to make my content relatable and relevant to you guys and what you want to know. So yes, I have asked on Instagram and over on my law of attraction support group on Facebook for your questions and what you want to know, and this is all of the questions. Well, I don't know if I can get through all of them, but these are some of the questions that you have very kindly sent me in. So the first question is on Instagram, and it's from Agzap, that's their username, so I'm sorry if that's not your real name. But the question is, what triggered you to come out of a dark night of the soul? Really interesting question. That's the first time I've ever had a question like that. So my dark night of the soul was, well, I've actually had two, I reckon. I've had two. So my first one was back in 2016 when I spiritually awakened, and I was going through a really bad breakup. My whole life was falling apart around me, and yeah, it was just intense. Like, my whole world was falling apart. Like, everything I knew was falling apart. Like, my relationship, my life, my friendship groups, literally everything fell apart. So what triggered me, I guess, to come out of that was just I couldn't bear to like be on this earth anymore. Like, as weird and like dramatic as that sounds, like I was really struggling to be here. And if you're like, you know, a starseed, or you're, you know, quite spiritually connected, you might have gone through exactly the same thing. I really struggled to be here, and I was at a point where I either had to end my life or I had to do something, and that was my like split moment where I was like, no, I did not come here to kill myself. I did not come here to be depressed. I did not come here to live a life of misery. And it was almost like that light bulb moment where I remember, like, I was looking out the window, it was like 2 a.m. I was going through a really shit time, and I just was like, God help me. Like, just those words, I was like, please God help me. And that, I just like, I remember that pinnacle moment so much, because that moment was like when my life changed forever. And within 5 days, the universe, or God, helped me, removed my ex from my life, and I found the magic, I found the law of attraction, and now you see what you see before you. Like, this is how it has literally transformed my life. So I guess what triggered me to come out of that dark night of the soul is to hit rock bottom. And again, like, I feel this year I had another spiritual awakening / dark night of the soul with my twin flame stuff, and again, I think this time it was that rock bottom. It is hitting that rock bottom and being like, I've done everything. Like, I've done everything. I give up, universe. Like, help me out. And I think it's when you reach that moment, and you can't force that moment. That's why I want to say, like, I definitely tried to force that moment this time round, and it just doesn't work. So you can't like force that moment where you just surrender, you give up, and you allow spiritual guidance or spiritual help to come in. It is a process, and it is a place where you hit, and you have to hit hard. So if you're going through a dark night of the soul, you just have to understand that it's a process. Some people's can take weeks, some people's can take months, some people's can take years. And it's just remembering, like, we're all on a unique journey, and you're doing the best you can, and everything is always as it should be. Like, you're always where you're meant to be exactly. So I would really just keep working through your spiritual practices, keep doing everything you can, show up, you know, put in the effort, but ultimately, like, naturally, 100% naturally, at the perfect time, you will reach a moment where you're like, I just can't do this anymore, I give up. And that's like when that light bulb moment when people find their faith. Now obviously mine the second time around was different, because I already had my faith, I already had my spirituality, but it was kind of the same. It was kind of like, okay, universe, I haven't been letting you do your thing, I give up. And you just absolutely in that moment 100% surrender, you 100% let go, and you 100% like give your whole existence to the universe and surrender to something higher than you. And that is when the universe can like step in. That's when the universe like brings creative solutions and really helps you. So just remember, it's like a process, and it will pass. Like, everybody comes out of it. It's just that unique process which we just all have to go through. So another great question from, oh god, I have no idea how to say this. I think it's Mila Emilia Lahati. Sorry, hun, if that's 100% wrong. So her question was, how can I heal from fear of abandonment and be less needy? I need some specific guidance. So I have had abandonment fears myself, definitely. I think most of us can definitely relate to that on some level, and neediness. I think 100% it comes down to self-love. Like when you have those fears of abandonment or neediness, like you need love, you need that kind of reassurance from someone, you need someone there, you need a man, you need a woman, you need all of this. All of that is relating down to needing to work on your self-love and becoming comfortable with yourself. Like that was definitely something I had to do. I had to learn to be 100% comfortable in my skin, comfortable in my body, loving myself, loving my body, loving spending time by myself. Like obviously, you know, when I first learned all about this during my breakup, I had gone from working with people, living with someone, to living by myself and working by myself. So I do spend a lot of time by myself, although I do coaching, I, you know, see my friends and stuff, see my family. So yes, like it really taught me to become comfortable with spending time by myself and accepting that. And really doing that is just a practice. It's a practice of really putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. Like when we put ourselves in those situations that feel horrid, like spending time by ourselves or telling ourselves we love ourselves, like definitely 100% work on your self-love. I'd also look at some inner child work. You know, a lot of my abandonment wounds stem down to my childhood. So I went and did some inner child meditations and some inner child journaling from those meditations, and really found where my wound came from, like the belief and story I'd been telling myself since childhood, which made me fear abandonment, which made me be needy and all of this stuff. So definitely look at inner child stuff. And you know, if you're feeling those feelings and you want to like kind of get it out of your system quickly, EFT and tapping, obviously Brad Yates, the amazing man, I always recommend. He's got some great videos on feeling lonely, abandonment, missing someone, like all of these things. So he's got some great videos on that. But it's just about being gentle to yourself and like being your own best friend, being your own partner. And that's what I've really found has helped, like just by saying, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? So if I was to end up by myself for the rest of my life, okay, like I could adopt, I would have my friends, I would have my family, like I'd still live an incredible life. You know, like my abandonment was more concerned around like marriage and husbands and stuff. So for me, it was just like saying like, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, well, it's not that bad. You know, there would still be other options and I would still be happy and I would still have a really fulfilling life. And I just worked on those wounds of the loneliness and of facing things by yourself, essentially. So facing those will be what like conquers this, but it's definitely a process. And like whenever those wounds come up, it's really about witnessing them and sitting with them sometimes. Like we could always be so quick to like literally jump to healing, literally jump to fixing something, but that's like spiritually bypassing. Sometimes we have to sit in that emotion, we have to sit in that feeling and just be like, okay, I need to let this pass through me. I'm not gonna just like, you know, put it under the rug. I'm not going to ignore it anymore. Like dealing with your wounds is what heals your wounds. So setting that intention that you want to heal them will automatically bring the right stuff to you, bring the right content, books, videos, whatever. But equally just witnessing the wounds when they come up and noticing what emotions or memories or, you know, intuitive things it's triggering. You can obviously keep note of that and work through that instead of just being like, oh my god, I need to fix it now and not feel it. I need to be positive. Like sometimes if you need to sit and cry, if you need to sit and be negative for a day, like that is healing. That is bringing the wound to the surface. So even though it may feel like you're not doing anything productive or you're not like, you know, doing the most positive thing, shall we say, sometimes that is the most positive thing, by sitting with it, feeling the emotion and really just working through it. So the lovely Ditsy Halo has asked, how do you work out the lessons in situations and the best ways to work through them? So sometimes we don't always know the lessons in situations until it's past. Like sometimes I didn't know like the lessons of my ex until like years later when I met Mr. C. Or like it really does vary when you can learn the lessons, but essentially like normally the lessons come when you find that forgiveness and you look for that forgiveness. So when you find forgiveness in a situation, you can really look at the situation of what's happened and say, okay, what have I learned from this? Have I learned to be more patient? Have I learned to be more tolerant? Have I learned to be more loving? Have I learned to be a bit more like careful with who I trust, or do you know what I mean? Like you can look at what you have personally learned from that situation and take that as your lesson. So, you know, like for instance with my ex, like all of that what happened was triggering my abandonment wound. So for me, that lesson was that I didn't need a man. I thought that I needed a man to be happy. I thought I needed a man to feel fulfilled, but I really didn't. So that wound was my lesson as such, because it was teaching me that actually I could stand on my own 2 feet independently. I didn't need a man. Like I didn't need a man to drag me down. I needed a man to uplift me. And, you know, he would be a positive contribution. He wouldn't fulfill me. He would just be a plus, a positive to an already complete whole person. And, you know, for me to him as well. So that's how you kind of like learn this situation. But like I said, sometimes it will take a year to be able to look at something and say, right, this was the lesson as such. Like, and my mum always used to say to me, she was like, in 6 months time, you will like be in a totally different space. You will look at this and feel 100% different. And especially through like really tough times in my life, I've always thought that, you know, like in 6 months time, I can look back and I'll be in a completely different space, in a completely different emotion, and like none of this will even matter. And in a year, like it won't even matter. And I remember like getting to those stages of like a year and being like, wow, it is so true. Like none of this matters. I don't feel how I did back then. It's all blown over, it's all done, and I'm in a completely different happy space. So always like look at it like that essentially. I guess the best ways to work through them is obviously forgiveness. I think forgiveness is probably the main thing we all need to do in like moving on from a situation or learning lessons from a situation. It's finding forgiveness primarily for yourself. Definitely. And you know, forgiving any actions that have been done which weren't very nice to us as well. And you know, sometimes we won't receive those apologies, sometimes we never will, and we kind of have to give ourselves that closure, give ourselves that apology and kind of closure, and close that door so we can move on with our lives. And you're able to do that 100%. So I think it's about just being gentle and kind with yourself, and really like saying, you know, what have I learned from this? How have I grown from this situation? Or what has this person taught me essentially? And yeah, that will be your lesson. So Romy Rose has asked, where is the line of being present and knowing things to be the truth or acting as if? So what I'm guessing from that is like, how do you know the difference of being present and knowing things to be truth or intuitive? And ultimately, like what I've always learned is, because I'm so intuitive now, like I literally will be told days when things will happen, or I will literally be told messages and I'm like, whoa. And that's only when I've been able to shut my controlling mind off, shut my ego off essentially, and become really present and accepting and, you know, in the now, should we say. So I don't think there's a line at all. I think if you know something to be your truth and you know that it's gonna happen, then you can live in the present, because you've got that certainty, you've got that almost like golden ticket of it's gonna happen, babe, so just be in the present. Like, so what I really learn like is when I get told these things and I'm like, wow, this is like 100% happening, like I feel it in every like bone of my body, but I'm so excited for it, or I want it to happen now, but you know, maybe it's not divine timing or whatever. It's just knowing that, okay, like this great thing is gonna happen, fantastic, I can't wait for that. But right now I've only got today, and maybe that's not going to show up today, but that's fine, because there's still a million things I can be grateful for right now. I can be in the present and get excited. So it's just kind of letting go again. I think ultimately what I would say in that situation is to just let go. It's to just be like, okay, it's on its way, it's already mine. A future version of myself is already connected to that. Great. But right here today, what am I going to do? I'm going to be in the present. I'm going to be grounded. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to focus on the now, because that's all I've got, and I want to enjoy today. I don't want to be living in the future and not enjoying my life right now. Otherwise you'll get to that time when that manifestation happens and you'll be like, oh god, I've literally spent like 6 months, you know, just worrying about it, where I could have been going out and enjoying my life, which would have brought it to you closer anyway, because joy is the ultimate creator. So I would really just say it is a case of accepting both, knowing both, and being okay with both. You know, it's perfectly okay to be present and in the now. It's perfectly okay to act as if. And if you've got that certainty, you're already going to act as if, because you're like, well, it's mine, it's coming. So you can just really ground yourself in the present moment and be like, okay, It's mine, it's on the way. I have nothing to do apart from be grateful, live in the now, and just be, you know, grateful for everything that I have. So both do go hand in hand, both, and acting as if as well. All of them really flow easily together. So yeah, it's just about like calming your controlling mind and really just grounding yourself in the now and saying like, all I've got is today. Like, you know, the past doesn't exist, the future hasn't come, and it never will. We only ever have the present moment. So you only have a collection of present moments. So you just need to be totally present, totally grounded, because that's where the beauty is, and that's where the good, positive vibes are, which are going to help your manifestations come into fruition. So I'm now going to go on to Facebook questions. So Kez has asked, how do you let go of something that's so very important to you? I'm waiting to hear about a flat that I may be able to rent. I've scripted, but I'm really struggling to let go. This is like one thing I don't think I've ever like truly nailed until I'm like, oh shit, I've done it. People ask me and I'm like, it's hard. It is hard. I know with like housing and stuff, I remember like when I got this place, you know, when there's like time scales and monetary pressure, it can be really hard. I would 100% say like scripting's really good, but again, you're not in the present moment. So I would drag yourself out of that future event, out of the future of you having the flat or having the success or the manifestation, and drag yourself back into the present moment and say, okay, that flat's mine, it's on its way. Great, fantastic, but I'm here in the present moment, and what am I going to do in the present moment? I'm going to be really grateful for the flat or house that I live in at the moment. So yeah, it's really about just dragging yourself back into the present moment and saying, right, I'm going to be really grateful for the house or flat I've got right now. I'm going to be grateful for all of the universe's blessings that I have right now in this moment. And again, it's like we kind of future trip. We kind of go into this future trip of focusing so much on the future, we're just totally depriving ourselves of the magic of the now. And I found that my manifestations come so much easier when I'm in the present moment. So instead of like focusing on that desired result, just see it as done. Just see it as it's mine, it's happening, the universe has my back. The universe is never gonna leave me at a loss or leave me without a house or a flat. And then take yourself back into this moment. Find gratitude for the current place you live in. You know, find gratitude for as many things as you can in the present moment, and just have fun. Get in that fun vibration. Get in that, oh my god, like, you know, have a look online, browse at new furniture, browse at new things you could get for this new place, you know, act as if, do all of that, but equally like let it go in the sense of it's done. I don't even need to worry about it. Like, I'm not going to stress about it. It's done. So whether you do that through affirmations, scripting, whatever, like whatever feels good to you, finding gratitude for your current situation is more powerful, because it is what you have right now. The universe isn't going to bring you anything unless you're grateful for what you currently have right now. And what I'd also say is to look at your worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, if I don't get this flat, what's the worst thing that could happen? And what would my plan B be? So if you kind of cancel out that fear and really address and ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? You eliminate fear, you eliminate negativity. So therefore it can't exist, because you've got your backup plan, you've got your plan B, and then you shift yourself into that positive receiving vibration, because either way you're going to be happy, you're going to be looked after, and no matter what, the universe totally has your back. So yeah, I would definitely try them, but good luck with getting the flat. It's already yours. So Emily Wilson has asked, how do you do divine feminine work? How do you find out about your past lives as well? And any oracle or tarot decks you love? Well, I have done a blog post all about my favorite oracle cards, so definitely go and check that out over on my website, because obviously that will go into way more detail about my favorite oracle cards and what I use, and also my daily spiritual practices video or law of attraction practices. On here I also include my favorite oracle card decks that I use every single day. So yes, how do you do divine feminine work? So divine feminine work looks like many things. It can look like womb work, it can look like self-love, it can look like goddess work, like whatever you call it. Essentially, divine feminine work really is about finding your inner power, finding your inner queen, your goddess, whatever you want to call it. It's about embracing all of the things you have been suppressing, whether that's your sensuality, your sexuality, whatever it may be. And for me, divine feminine work has looked like womb work. It's looked like really embracing all of the things that people have wanted to keep me small with or keep me quiet with. So it's shining my light, it's turning up, it's talking about these things, it's talking about sex, it's talking about, you know, my body, it's embracing my body for how it is. It is not conforming to society's way of the female body, or, and essentially, you know, like women, as I said in my spiritual book club about the book Witch by Lisa Lister, you know, women have been suppressed for thousands of years. We have been burnt, we have been tortured, we have been killed, raped, murdered, the whole lot, for being women, for being spiritual women, for doing anything spiritual. So this is the first lifetime where we've been able to be our true selves, be what we're here to be, and not be killed or have the fear of persecution. So women as a collective, like you're seeing it in the media right this moment, the fact that so many women are standing up to sexual abuse and abuse of any form is proof that women, the she, the goddess, all in general, the divine feminine is rising. Like she's been rising for a few years and she is rising fiercely now. So you are seeing more women doing amazing things, accomplishing amazing things. You know, so many women are spiritual teachers because we're all raising this divine feminine consciousness. So doing your divine feminine work looks like not quietening yourself, like addressing all these things that have been, you know, with us in our past lives, these fears of persecution, not being able to speak up, not being able to share our voice, not being able to share our spirituality. All of this is divine feminine work because, you know, we've literally been suppressed by a male dominated society for so freaking long. So, you know, the women are powerful. Like our womb spaces obviously are incredible, like birthing and manifesting spaces. They are to be worshipped, and you know, like thousands of years ago they were worshipped before, you know, the whole paradigm shifted to this very like divine masculine, and now it's shifted back into divine feminine. You know, like women were worshipped because they were magical beings. They would like produce humans like literally out of thin air, like out of their wombs. You know, our wombs would be a sacred manifesting, you know, our menstrual cycles would be worshipped because when we're, you know, on our periods, you know, that's our most powerful time. So you may find that when you're on your period, you're manifesting a lot because it is a really powerful time. So all of these things. So like I said, Lisa Lister is a really fantastic divine feminine teacher. Rebecca Campbell is as well. I've done some videos on stuff like this. You know, there are some great books and resources out there of how to do your divine feminine work, but really, like, truthfully, as simple as it can be, it's just being you. It's being authentically you, like embracing your sexuality, embracing your sensuality, embracing all the kind of shadowed aspects which are like, oh my god, like a woman can't do that. Hell yeah she can, literally hell yeah she can. She can run her own business, she can take over the world, she can birth children, she can raise children, she can do whatever the hell she wants, she bleeds and doesn't die, like, you know, all these amazing incredible things that women are. And you know, I'm not taking anything away from divine masculines or men at all, like I love you guys equally, but you know, because I am a divine feminine, like this is primarily my work and divine feminines primarily follow me. So it's not to say that we're like more important or anything like that, but at the moment the consciousness is leveling out. Like obviously we've been like way down here and now we're like leveling out. So that's what this is. It's leveling out so that the divine feminine can bring peace and light to the world again, you know, bring that spirituality and magic back to the world essentially. So I could talk about divine feminine stuff all freaking day long. It's so fascinating and it really is about just bringing you back to your truth. So how do you find out about past lives? You can have past life regressions. I've done a past life regression meditation before with someone who's like, you know, specialized in it. I personally didn't have anything come through. I had loads of angels and spirit guides talking to me. I was like, guys, I'm here for my past lives. So the lady had to tell me what she saw, my past lives, and I connected to them straight away. So quite a funny one, I was Amish in a life. I fucking loved that. When I found out I was Amish, I was like, of all the things Emma could have been, she was Amish. So yeah, there was some really interesting past lives. I have connected to a past life before this is why I know I have so many connections to France, because I was a French maid and I used to live in like a big house, and I died of childbirth. And as a child, like this vision kept coming to me so much, so I actually feared childbirth for so long because of this, and I didn't really understand what it was until I realized that it was a past life, and that I had to like heal that fear that childbirth wasn't going to kill me in this life, that it was safe to have a baby, that I would be with my husband when I have my baby, and you know, that I wouldn't just die in a toilet, because I think that's pretty much what happened. I gave birth and died in a toilet. So it didn't really sound like a great life. But I've only had like real snippets of weird random lives, like nothing like it's a lot to get your head around. So you can either do your own meditations, which can set the intention. You can obviously ask the universe to give you signs or synchronicities to past lives. You can literally ask for so much, but obviously you can pay for readings. You can pay to have someone help you, you know, put you in that state to be able to channel into it. You know, psychics sometimes can tell you as well. So there's numerous ways to find out. I wouldn't say like I know loads of past lives. I know a few, I've sensed a few, but I think more of the twin flame side, I've sensed it because I've sensed like things that have happened. So like weird random fears that come up, I'm like, whoa, where's that come from? And then I'll connect that it's actually come from a past life where that did happen. So it's my soul remembering that past life. It's my soul remembering that, you know, and probably, you know, why I felt so weird about the word witch as well. Like, you know, I probably had a lifetime where I was a witch and I was persecuted for that. So therefore the word witch now in this life is like, oh, but I've become comfortable with it again. I've addressed it, and, you know, it's been a really powerful thing to realize and say, right, I am doing everything of what, you know, an actual witch, not a scary, crackly, evil witch. Because, you know, again, that's all divine feminine stuff as well, because, you know, it has, you know, persecuted spirituality, persecuted the witchiness, to be these like old ugly women who sit around a cauldron black magicking, which is not a thing, and it's not what witches do. So yeah, like all of that's divine feminine work, definitely. So Sylvia, I'm not even going to attempt to offend you by pronouncing your surname lovely. So Sylvia has asked, can I use more than one affirmation at a time, or should I stay to only one? I currently say about 10 different affirmations for health. Is it effective to say all of these, as it really does raise my vibrations, or should I only focus on one? I don't see any reason why. Like, I just chuck affirmations out there all the time. I just say things, write things, mirror work things, and I probably very rarely stick to the same one. I'm not gonna lie, I just say what I want. So I don't think there's anything wrong with doing 10 affirmations, definitely not. Like, it's all just positive vibes, and as long as they're all kind of like echoing, you know, the same kind of thing, like there's definitely, you know, nothing wrong with doing that, you know, as long as you're not like contradicting what you're trying to manifest with like one and then another. I think that's absolutely fine to do 10, as long as it's all like contributing to that positive outcome and it's all positive, and you know in yourself it feels good because you're saying that like your vibration feels raised and you're feeling happy when you say them. So that's the biggest indicator of whether it's going to work or not, because obviously the universe responds to your vibes, it responds to your happiness. So definitely I think that's absolutely fine, and keep them up because it sounds like it's definitely working. And finally, Matt has asked, how does one use law of attraction to improve finding like-minded friends or people? I get asked this so much, and I have definitely done this in my own life. So when I wanted to manifest like-minded friends or spiritual friends who just got me and were positive, etc., because I really needed that, you know, reflection in my life. I needed people who understood me and understood what I was doing. And for me, what I did was exactly what I did with the dream man. I wrote a list of my dream friendships, like my dream best friends or whatever. So I wrote down all the qualities and all the things that I wanted my friends to reflect and what I wanted out of my friendships. And after that, I then basically became my own best friend. So exactly like I did with the dream man, I became my own best friend. So all the qualities that I wrote down on my list, I reflected them myself. So I first of all became my own best friend, worked on self-love, you know, really became my own best friend, as frankly as that, and that is what manifested it. Simply because you know, it's that vibration, isn't it, where you become what you want, you're going to attract what you want. Like attracts like. So for you to be able to attract those certain people in your life, you need to become that person to yourself and to everybody else. So yeah, write your list and definitely like make sure you're reflecting that list within yourself, to yourself and to others as well. And I guarantee it will happen all in divine timing, definitely. So thank you so much guys for all of your wonderful questions. I didn't manage to get through all of them just because there were so many, but I do love asking you, and I'm definitely going to do these more frequently than I have been, just because there are obviously so many burning questions that you want me to feature. So thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below because I reply to them all. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here because I would love to see you again soon. And don't forget you can join my free Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook. The link to that and also my Spiritual Queen Summit and everything else I talk about will always be in the description box down below. So you can come and join us over on Facebook. It's a free group to join where you can join myself and other like-minded souls and talk all things positivity and law of attraction. So I hope you all have a fantastic week, whatever you're up to, and I will see you in my next video, which will be next week. Lots of love, guys.